Okay, we're going to go over the setup of the Google Calendar Sync real quick. What this essentially does from a high level is it keeps your calendar in Salesforce synchronized with your calendar in Google. So let's say, for instance, you have a company here that you're tracking and they're having, let's say, a team party, and you want to add that to your calendar so you don't forget that. So you would go to the organization, hit New Event, and you would enter in the subject and the start and the end dates for this event. And then when you save that, it's going to show up on your home page along with any meetings you've added in this calendar area right here. So now when you perform the sync, it's going to take any meeting or event that you have in this calendar and it's going to synchronize that to Google and add them at Google. Then if you make a change in Google in sync, it's going to make those same changes in Salesforce. So that's how the calendar sync works essentially. So to set this up, it's a one-time setup for the calendar sync, and you click on this little icon right here. And there's two tabs you want to look at real quick, or two links, I'm sorry. First is the About, and that has some information if you want to read through it. It has a little more detailed setup if you want to go through that. The one that we're really concerned about is the calendar sync link right here. So you click on that, and this is a one-time setup. Okay, so you'll have to get with Neil Hardy and get some information from Neil. But essentially what you do is you enter in your Salesforce username, which should already be defaulted in, your Salesforce password, and then you're going to enter in your Google App username. This will probably be the first part of your email address at psi.org. Now, the next part is what you're going to need from Neil. This is your Google Apps password. It's not the password that you use to sign in for Crowd for single sign-on. You won't have this Google Apps password. You'll have to get that from Neil. And again, you'll only need this once. It's a one-time setup. So once he gives this to you, you'll go ahead, enter all your credentials, hit save, and that connects Salesforce to Google in the back end, so that way you don't have to do this again. So since I don't have Colleen's credentials here, I'm going to go ahead and log in as me and kind of show you how this syncing works. Okay, so to create a new sync event, and you can have multiple sync events here also. To create a new sync event, you're going to hit New Calendar Sync. And it's going to bring you to a screen like this, and you're going to tell it how you want it to sync. Do you want it to sync from and to Salesforce and Google bidirectionally? Do you want it to sync only from Salesforce to Google, or only from Google to Salesforce? And then how often do you want it to sync? The shortest amount of time you can do is every 2 hours, and I've been using this by default. And you also want to choose the calendar. You may have multiple calendars in Google, and you can sync these to Salesforce at different intervals in different ways. And then also, do you want to enable exception notifications? So maybe for the first month or so, you might want to turn this on and enable notification. That way, if you're getting any errors coming through in the syncing process, you can forward those to support for help. And then also for the synchronization, how do you want to manage conflicts? So typically what we say is the calendar record in either Salesforce or Google Calendar, which has been changed recently, should overwrite the other ones. So that way you have the most recent information in both Google Calendar and in Salesforce. You can also choose to say that Salesforce is always the one that gets overwritten in Google, or Google always gets overwritten in Salesforce, however you want to define that. So once you hit save, it'll bring you back to this page right here, and you can hit the button sync now to manually sync if you want to sync your calendars. Maybe you just add a bunch of events to your calendar, you want to sync them all and not wait for 2 hours. You can edit it and set it to status as inactive to stop syncing. You can click the stop link here. And another thing is you can look at a log to see what happened last time you synced things. So you can see right here, last time I synced there were no changes, but if I scroll down, you can see at this part I synced, and it says here that on this date I created an event in Google for this meeting. So that's the calendar sync. You set it up once, and from then on it just syncs your calendar in the background every 2 hours. You don't have to worry about much, and it keeps your calendar in Salesforce in sync with your calendar on Google, and vice versa.